The first mover advantage paradox. This is the mystery that has plagued scholars for decades. Why does the first card that hits the market get such an enormous premium? A set can come out, and even though everyone knows there will be more, sometimes hundreds or thousands more of this particular card, someone will pay much more than if they had just waited a week, or sometimes even another day. It happens every single time. And yet, somehow, some way, someone always pays the highest price of release. And the cycle repeats over and over and over for every new set that comes out. Some may point to the fact that while you may think that this is crazy, some may also say that you're crazy for buying a $5 scoop of ice cream when you could just buy a whole gallon for two. Maybe it's not that big a mystery in the end. It's just that sometimes the scale of which someone will reach for convenience goes much higher than most assume. The bottom feeders, aka the invisible floor. I sell tens of thousands of items on eBay in a year, and I see some strange auctions that end. But a question that has many shaken their heads in disbelief, including me, is the phenomenon of the invisible floor. There are people that I know personally who have bought thousands of items off me that will not let most cards go below a certain price. And they buy every week, every single week, hundreds of items off me, a single seller. And I ask, believe me, I ask. And while some may say, well, these are for sure people buying junk to flip, you'd be surprised. The most common answer, they just like them. And maybe there is no mystery to why someone wants a PSA 6 common card. It just is what it is. But I have a feeling there is something deeper in the strategy there in the end. But we may never know that mystery. The auction ceiling phenomenon. There are people who believe that auctions on eBay always end below buy it now prices, the price that someone may set just to buy an item outright. But I have found many times the strange way in which they sometimes surpass that same item. Most may say, well, that's just someone who didn't see the item for sale at a lower price at the click of a button, but is it that or the psychology of winning? Many times I have found if something is there for the taking, out in the open, most glance but don't touch. But once it's gone, suddenly you want it back, and sometimes you're willing to pay even more than you were just seconds ago. What's behind the modern sealed curtain? This is probably the most talked about mystery that has been around since 1999. How many of these boxes are out there? We all see these investment channels saying do hoard Pokemon boxes for future gains. But as the logic goes, if everyone is hoarding, what happens when the curtain is pulled back? And there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these boxes that nobody knows about. And the further point, unlike in 1999, when we still didn't know the supply of the boxes, we also didn't have hundreds, if not thousands, of social media influencers breaking open boxes for people to pay into. This is a recent phenomenon on this large of a scale. So while the curtain may have behind it a literal airplane hangar full of supply, you might pull back that curtain and be surprised that it's almost completely empty. The comp fallacy. For someone selling as many items on eBay as I have in the past 5 years, I know that many sales are correct as shown and can be compared against others as a data point as to what a collectible is seemingly worth at that given moment in time. I have the receipts to prove it, but I also know that many simply are not true. No matter what the sale shows, be it auction, buy it now, or offer accepted, that simply doesn't matter. Nothing you see in terms of sales are guaranteed to be real. None of them. There is a chance, and I will say it's not impossible, that you may look at comps of a card you want to buy, and every single sale never actually happened. And while that is a scary thought, it is one you have to accept if you're ever going to buy in this marketplace, and that can be a scary pill to swallow. The Reprint Paradox. Some of you may have heard of the Fermi Paradox, but those of you that haven't, it goes something like this. If there are an infinite amount of stars and galaxies and mass in the universe, both observable and unobservable, there must be alien life, and not just a little, an infinite amount. So, the paradox goes, if there are an infinite amount of aliens in the universe, where are they? The same can be said for reprints of Pokemon sets. Sets that aren't even a few years old are now double or triple what the Pokemon company sold them for. If the purpose of a company, a for-profit company, is to make money, and a simple reprinting, no new artist to task, no new mechanics to draw up, just a simple push of a button to reprint the cards would make a lot of money, literally printing money, then why aren't they doing it? It's something that has puzzled many, and while we may find out soon the answer, we certainly have been in the dark for much longer than it would seem is natural. The pack grading loophole. It has been said that there are only a few certainties in life: death, taxes, and not a single person on this planet, not even the company that grades the packs themselves, knows how a booster pack gets the grade it gets. But while this mystery may never be solved, there is an even deeper phenomenon that has stumped even the highest IQ individuals in this hobby: the pack grading loophole. The fact that you can take any sealed booster box, that's right, any of them, from a $10,000 box from 1999 to a $100 box today, and send those packs in to get graded, you'll be able to sell the packs for more than you bought them for, plus grading fees, every single time. And then, with the profit you made, just open up another box to send in those 36 packs to get graded, and make more profit, and repeat over and over and over. This loophole has been open for over a decade now, and for some reason, even after all this time, the loophole still works, even to this day. A true mystery for the ages that may, someday, be solved. But till now, it still remains, and who knows, may never close. The influencer war chest theory. Many people seek advice and listen to people who have knowledge, expertise, or may just be entertaining in some way on such platforms as YouTube or Instagram or whatever the social media flavor of the month is when you watch this video. But while a lot of them give their advice on what to buy for profit, there could be a manipulation of the market, or there may be a war chest of that exact product that the influencer is telling you to buy, and then selling into the wave of demand for their own gain. And while this isn't some revolutionary mystery, the spooky part is that you will never, ever know, no matter how trustworthy that person talking to the camera is, you will never, and let me repeat this again, ever know what they truly hold behind the curtain. And while we'd all like to think most people are good, human history has shown if there is money involved, all bets are off the table. And that's a scary thought indeed. The Doppler effect phenomena. The Doppler effect is a pretty simple explanation as to why when an ambulance races past you with their siren blaring, the pitch goes from high to a much lower frequency as it races past, And while that siren sounds both high and low from your perspective, to the person driving the ambulance, the sound never, ever changes. This is the same for every new card set that comes out. Every single one is viewed differently as it comes out to where it ends up years down the line. From the company that prints its perspective, and I admit I am placing an assumption on this, but I would assume that each set has the same amount of work, testing, and care put into it as much as the next one. So, from the Pokemon Company's perspective, you could say the siren always sounds the same. But this is how some make millions and some go broke, because the set will always sound much, much different years down the line than when it first came out. Real mystery: how do you know how it will sound if you only have half the equation? The population paradox. There is a clear example of what I'm referring to in this scenario that brings forth the deeper mystery that we all must question to ourselves. There are cards that have certain publicly known print runs. They are usually called serialized cards. 1 out of 1, 5 out of 5, 100 out of 100, you get the point. Now, on the population report, a report that shows how many times a card has been graded, it will show, for example, a card where there are only 100 to exist to have been graded 150 times. This is, of course, a conundrum. How many other graded card population reports are overinflated, and by how much? Are there many less cards graded than we assumed for certain categories? Or is it just a conspiracy that isn't worth exploring? The most valuable cards, of course, are the ones graded 10. But we've seen that even those can be incorrect. Remember when a particular influencer broke open a $150,000 PSA 10 base set Charizard, and then all of a sudden it was worth $750,000 in a BGS 10 case? Now there is another PSA 10 that actually doesn't exist, and who knows how many cards, be it 150,000 or 150, are cards that are actually ghosts.